Hello, this is Dr. Dave Maslach talking to you about reciprocity.com. The E is written with a 3, and in this particular video, I really wanted to talk about how long does it actually take to get a doctorate degree in business administration at a major research university. So what I'm going to do is describe how long it actually takes to get a PhD in business management at a major school in Canada, the US, Western Europe, and then talk to you about why it actually takes that long. So I'm a professor of innovation strategy and entrepreneurship, and I myself have a doctorate degree, and I know a lot of different people that have a doctorate degree or have tried to get a doctorate degree in various different stages and stuff, and I work with doctoral students, and I thought this would be a really interesting video to put out and a helpful video to put out to sort of tell you how long it actually takes to get a doctorate degree in business administration. So how many years does it actually take to get a doctorate degree? You know, how long does it actually take to get one of these degrees or a doctorate in business administration? Well, it normally takes anywhere between 3 to 7 years. Right. So the norm is more like probably 5 to 6 years. Probably 5 is pretty close to where most people do it. But some people do it in 3. Very, very few people do it in 3. Virtually nobody does it I don't know of anybody that have done it in less than 3 at the top of my head. And I don't know of anybody that has taking longer than like 8 years. So I know of people that have taken 7 years. I myself took a little bit longer. So I took 5 years, but then I did sort of postdoctoral work, and that's what a lot of people do at this moment, which is kind of like it's kind of like a stage between a doctorate degree and becoming a professor. But most people will do it in 5 years. That is really the norm. Some people will do it in 4. You know, maybe about 20 to 30% will do it in 4 because of different reasons. And I could get into that if you're interested. But most people will do it in 5. So here is why. Why does it actually take 4 to 5 years to get a doctorate degree in business administration or a doctorate in any sort of business school? Well, the length of time is normally proportional to the sort of rigor of the doctorate degree or the PhD degree. The longer it takes, the more rigorous the PhD is and the more sort of difficulties it actually takes to get through the process, right? That's kind of the norm. If people expedite that and they take less than 3 years, it usually means that, they're doing that on purpose to get out as quickly as possible, which means that they're going to have not as good of a thesis generally. Most people will take about 4 to 5 years if they're doing the sort of normal rigor that other people are doing and competing. So if you can think of a doctorate program, we're all competing with all other doctorate programs, and all of the PhD students, doesn't matter where you are, you're competing with all the other PhD students that are out there that are coming out in the job market, right? Because you all want to get a job at the schools that are available. Everybody wants to get a job at Harvard Business School, right? I mean, that's kind of what the norm is, and everybody's competing for those jobs. Doesn't matter where you're from. If you're going from Berkeley, if you're going from University of Western Ontario, that's where I came from. If you are going to University of Toronto, if you're going to, I don't know, what else is there? University of Florida, Florida State, if all these different schools that are out there, you're all competing for the same jobs, right? You're all trying to compete to get into Harvard Business School. And the way that you become a professor at Harvard Business School is you do really interesting, rigorous research that has, very large implications. And that's why people are professors at Harvard Business School, because they're really good at it, right? They have really good at research, and they're really good at teaching as well. So what are the different stages, and why does it actually take 5 years to get or 4 to 5 years to get a doctorate degree? Now, and the norm, and I should have pointed out that it's actually taking longer and longer and longer. So the norm you might have been okay, say 20 years ago, to do a doctorate in 3 to 4 years. And that would have been, kind of acceptable. 4 years would have been acceptable about 10 years ago. And now most business programs, most business administration programs, or if you're doing a PhD in business administration, most of them will take 5 years in a regular school that you're thinking about, right? Any sort of major research school that is available, it's going to take you 5 years. That is kind of the norm. They sometimes will take 6 years as well, depending on which ones you go to and the style. There's a style of research that's being done at these different ones, right? So in the first year, what you're doing is you're called a PhD student, and you're just kind of a noob. And what you're doing is just taking sort of generic courses on research methods, on statistics, on various sort of just very generic courses that are related to business. And that would be, these are more advanced than what you do in an MBA. An MBA is very much geared towards getting a real practical job. In a PhD, the first year is going to be really hard. It's probably going to be much harder than an MBA. And the course is going to be really focused on doing good research. It's going to be focused on research articles. This is the stuff that actually knowledge is created, and you're going to be really reading a lot. You read tons and tons and tons, thousands and thousands and thousands of pages. You'll probably, it's not unusual to read 600 pages, 700 pages a week within that period. And that's totally normal, and that's what a lot of people actually end up doing on a regular basis after that. You just kind of get into that mode. The second year, and oh, by the way, if you need help with picking out those different courses and stuff like that, I'd put a link in the video. I have an older video that gets into that. So the second year is to obtaining a doctorate or a Doctor of Business Administration degree. It's the sort of specialty year where you take courses that are specific to your area, right? So I'm a strategy and innovation, entrepreneurship, probably more on the strategy and innovation side, definitely. I would take courses, you would take courses in strategy. You would probably take 3 or 4 courses in strategy. You take maybe a course in innovation. You might take, I took a bunch of courses in finance as well, doctorate courses in finance and economics and econometrics, to get an understanding as well. So and then you can audit them, which means you don't have to take them for credit, or you can actually take them for credit, which is sort of different things. And that's going to give you kind of a much more focused and understanding of the particular area. And then you do your comprehensive exams. And I have a video there. I'm not going to get into that. So your comprehensive exams, basically, it's a really big exam that takes days. And you have to study for weeks and weeks and weeks for it to understand. It's basically just you putting all the knowledge together. Your third year, this is where you sit down. There'll be a little part where you're going to flounder and you're not going to know what you're going to do for maybe a month. Any longer than that, you're kind of just, you're wasting your time. So in your third year, this is where you're going to come up with your dissertation proposal and work on a paper to get a paper out. You need, the norm now is you need 1, 2, 3 papers. In my field, other fields is way different. You're going to need a lot more papers. It's unusual in my field to actually get that many. It just takes a lot to get that, to sort of work on that many papers and stuff. So, if you have 1, 2, 3 papers, that means you can submit them you can submit one in your third year. It'll be under what's called under review and at a journal, and that under review hopefully will go through the review process, and you'll have a paper close to being published at that moment. It's really hard to actually get to that, right? It's really difficult. It's a journey. And then your fourth year is you're usually working on, you've defended your proposal at that moment, which is, you actually defend it and you sort of say that this is good enough. And your fourth and fifth year, you're working on your thesis, or you're working on your proposal as well. And then in your fifth year, your final year, to go on the job, and what you do is you work on your thesis as well as you go on the job market, which means going on different interviews at different schools. And these interviews allow you to get jobs, right? So you go on what are called flyouts, and you go out to different places. So now you know how long and why it actually takes so long to get a degree in business administration, a doctorate in business administration. There's a lot of steps that you have to go through. It's really rigorous. It's really tough. And there's lots of different things that you have to think about along the way. And when you start thinking about how long it actually takes to get a a PhD in business management or anything like that, the reason why it takes that long is just it's rigorous, it's tough. And then some people will take a little bit shorter depending on, what they're doing. And then if you flounder at all, right? And floundering means you kind of just waste 3 or 4 months, 6 months, something like that. That's gonna add on an extra year by when you're done. Or if you reach any sort of obstacles along the way, it's gonna add extra time. So that's why it's not unusual to take more than 5 years to get something done. It's not unheard of by any means. And that's just, it's just the process. That's how long it actually takes. And the reason why I'm putting out these videos is just so you're well aware that it actually takes a long time. So when you do apply to, the school where I'm at or anybody else's school or anything like that, you're just well aware of what the commitment is, and why it actually takes this long and what you're actually going to get from it. And as well as I'm trying to put out these videos to help out different graduate students and stuff like that. This is part of my Thesis Help series where I just try to help out people that are going through this journey and trying to help them out as much as possible. And it's part of the Reciprocity Project. The E is spelled with a 3. You could check that out as well, what I'm trying to do by watching some of the other videos. So if you like this video, make sure you do an old thumbs up. I can add to how long it actually takes or I can add to this video to describe how long it actually takes to do a PhD in business administration if you have questions and stuff like that. That's totally cool. But now you know how long it actually takes to get a doctorate degree in business management or anything like that. So take care, have a wonderful day, and I'm looking forward to seeing you on the next video. Bye.